Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
And tonight the main speaker is Darrell.
Hi, my name's Darrell. I'm an alcoholic. And thanks for asking me. Where is he? Oh, there you go. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed the Marina Center meeting. I've been coming to this meeting since I moved to Los Angeles in 1996. And I've met a lot of good people here. And I've got to identify with a lot of the speakers here and know that, my problem just might be alcoholism. And there's a solution, and that's the good news. Unlike Jim, I had the worst possible examples of alcoholism in my life growing up, and I swore to God, as a young boy, I was never going to be an alcoholic. My mom drank a lot, and that was the problem. She'd do all sorts of crazy stuff, and I'd ask my dad, what's with Mom? And he'd go, well, she drinks a little too much. And, she would do all the humiliating stuff. You've all probably heard it from me a billion times before. But I'd come home from school, I'd be 8 years old coming home from elementary school, and my mom would be home, and Brazil 66 would be blaring out of the windows, and I'm like, oh no. And I'm like, I gotta go face the music, and I get inside, and my mom's twirling around with her drinks, and she's like, come on, dance with me, Darrell. And I'm like, oh, all right. And I'm just like, I love you, Mommy. And I'm just like, this is hell. And then by 5 o'clock, by 5 o'clock, she'd go from this loving mom who wants to dance with her son to now she's going for the cutlery, and she's chasing my dad through the house, and he's like, Jesus Christ, Billy. And she's like, you son of a bitch. And she's really not, she wasn't really going to stab him. It's just, she just wants to teach him a lesson, scare him a little bit. And then, and I know all this because I know me, discovering through my fourth step how much of an alcoholic I am, and we'll get to that. But she's not really wanting to kill him, just scaring him. And then she'd throw the knife down, and to really teach us all a lesson, she'd take all her clothes off, and that wasn't enough. She'd go running out the house, out into the neighborhood. It's at night, porch lights are going on. I'm like, oh, this isn't happening. And then my dad's like, come on, you two little, God damn it, guys, get her, she's getting away. And we're like, ah, and we're chasing her, and all I could think about is there was this girl, Rhonda Mangles, I had a crush on. She lived like 3 doors away, and I'd see her bedroom light go on. I go, I'm finished, And I swear to God, I'm never going to end up like that, ever. And she left. She ended up, drinking herself out of the family, shortly after. I was probably about 9 years old. And my dad was, he was pretty tough on us. And I would always attribute his strict disciplinary actions as, well, of course he's like this because of her. I would blame my mother. I would resent my mother. And I wasn't going to end up like that. And it's funny, you get to Alcoholics Anonymous, and one of the big disappointments when I got here was, because I didn't come here really looking for a solution to my drinking. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I came to AA to look for a solution to being in trouble with the United States military. And all my manipulative behavior in the past would be to try to look like a good little 8-year-old, clean up real quick, and maybe I won't get punished as bad. And I saw AA as maybe if they saw that I was going to Alcoholics Anonymous, I wouldn't get screwed. And, after coming for about 30 days and starting to identify with the people sharing, I kind of got enthusiastic about, my problem might be, I thought the problem was the United States military, but it turned out to be something else. And I discovered that in AA, and I started to get hopeful, and then all of a sudden they say, God could and would if he were sought. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I stopped believing. I threw away God with the Easter Bunny, the St. Patrick's Day leprechaun, Santa Claus. He was lopped into those characters from my childhood. He did nothing for me. I found out all these other ones are fake. I don't get any results from this crap. This has got, all right, it's just like in the book where it says, and this is the good thing, when you read the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, it's very non-judgmental. And it's very, I was reading it, and it doesn't say you have to find a higher power and all this stuff. And, it's nothing, it's not religious, zealots. But it's like people saying, oh, we didn't believe in God either. Yeah, we thought this was a bunch of malarkey too. Yeah, as soon as I heard the God stuff, I thought, oh, God, you got to be kidding me. And I'm going, wow, they thought this too? Let me read on. And just like in there, what I thought was it says, the flimsy reed, this flimsy reed turned out to be the loving hand of God. And let me tell you, I seriously, after I got sober April 1st, 1986, and seriously, after being sober, the longer I'm sober, the more how the hell did I survive without faith in a higher power? I can't let go of anything without believing that there's a loving God. How do you, live and let live? How do you just let it go? I can't let it go. When lack of power was my dilemma. I always had to make it happen or fix it, and I was always like, God damn it, I gotta make this happen. If this doesn't happen, if these guys don't say exactly what they need to say, I'm screwed. You don't understand. And they go, easy, Darrell, take it easy. What do you mean, take it easy? This is serious crap. And then I'd always reach for the temporary solution because I just needed some relief, but I thought the solution was permanent, and I'd grab a drink, and then even in the end, when people were telling me, hey, man, come on, that's not going to solve your problems. I was like, I don't care. I know it's not going to solve my problems. I just need some relief from this shit. I knew that at the end. But you know what? That fantasy, like Jim mentioned, when Jim was saying, thinking after all those years that it's going to be fun like in the beginning, that's that great obsession. And that was mine to the bitter end. I had my first drink. I'll never forget it because it was the best day of my life growing up. It was the best. My father would bust my chops. He'd always say confusing, I always call him like a New Jersey New Ager because he'd always say things like, Jesus Christ, Darrell, think positive, you miserable fuck. And I'm like, what? Or he'd say, he'd go like this, he was always disappointed in me. He was a big athlete at the same high school I went to. I was no athlete at all. I'm bumping around, and he's like, oh, Christ, Darrell, you're smarter than that, you fucking idiot. I'm like, what? So, he's busting my balls, and he would have these card games at our house. And let me tell you, these guys were his friends were like my parents. My mom was gone, and my grandparents were gone, and I wanted anything. I really wanted to be liked by these guys, and they were the greatest. They were so kind to me and my brother, and they were always there. I think I liked them because they would always, when my father would get a little too rough with us, they go, hey, Fuzzy, easy, come on, he's just a kid. He goes, yeah, I know, so I kind of loved them for that. But I really wanted to prove myself and be a man. And he'd have these card games, and they'd serve screwdrivers, and me and my little brother used to get to serve the screwdrivers, and And on one of these nights, I must have been 15. I had to be 15, 16 years old. And I'll never forget, Louis Bertoni, who's still alive, said, hey, little Fuzz, you want a drink? And they called us that because our last name's Fazaro. And I said, yeah, sure. And he made me this screwdriver, and I took that drink, and it changed everything. I mean, I just felt relaxed. My father's now busting my balls, which used to humiliate me in front of these guys, and I just felt like I was one of the guys. It was the most magical thing. I can't believe how great it was. I mean, to this day, looking back, now I see clearly why I kept thinking because it was such a profound effect. And that if that little whisper of a thought, or if that little, face of my mother popped into my head, I'm going, well, I'm not an alcoholic. I feel good when I drink. I didn't know that's what she felt, because of how she looked on the outside. But sure enough, I was to become, I far exceeded my mom's behavior, believe me. And actually, you go to enough of these meetings and you hear the most wonderful things. And sometimes they just ring like a bell in your head. You go, thank God I went to that meeting tonight, or that meeting today. And when I was new in my sobriety, you hear a lot of these little slogans that'll stick in your head. And it's like a bad song at first that you can't shake. But, after a while, you're grateful that these slogans are in your head. And one of the slogans that, and I know the guy said, it gets up at the podium, I had about 90 days, and I got sober in Hawaii. I was still in the military. This guy, Joe Landry, gets up, and I never even really liked this guy. But his little saying has saved my life more times than anything else. And he said, guys, there's only 2 times you have to go to a meeting. And of course, I perked right up. Okay. And he goes, when you want to and when you don't. Ha! And I'm like, oh. And you know what? I swear to God, there's times when I think, I got 19 years. My wife's happy. Bills are paid. I don't need to go to a meeting tonight. There's nothing on TV, but I don't need to go to a meeting tonight. And all of a sudden, when you want to and when you don't, ah! And I come to the meeting. Well, usually I take see, that's a good thing about working with others. It becomes a conspiracy to stay sober, because you call these guys, and some of them really want what you have. And they'll call you, and they'll go, what meeting are you going to tonight? All right, I'll meet you at the Marina Center. But it saves my butt. And, or if I get that when you want to and when you don't, I'll bring a hostage. I'll call Jim. I don't care, And it's good because it gets us all here. Just like it said, it says we can't do this alone, and it's true. And in the big book, they tell this story about, there was a time when the great psychologist or psychiatrist at the time, Carl Jung, was trying to help these alcoholics, and he was trying to bring about let them know that this stuff's going to kill them. And all that knowledge, it says, knowledge of the disease doesn't cure it. None of this stuff cures it, and we can't do it alone. And he would give these guys the best medical attention you possibly could. They understood the nature of their disease, but he sent them out into the wilderness alone, and they might stay sober 90 days, 6 months, 8 months, and sure enough, wow, I could have just one drink. And it's funny because at the end of my drinking, my mind would work just like this. I'd wake up in the morning, and I swear to God, I meant it. I did not want to drink. I had a lot of problems. I humiliated myself the night before, and I'm remembering it. And I'm going, please, God, please, please, please help me. I don't want to do this again. Please don't let me do this again. And then some way during the day, you could have a drink, just one drink, take the edge off, after work. And I'd go, no, I can't do that. Yeah, come on, just one drink. It'll give you some relief. And I go, all right, I'll take a drink. Why not? You're right, one drink. And then I have a drink. And as soon as I took that drink, this is in the end, my mind would go, what a jerk. You have no willpower. The same mind that just said, have one drink, it's okay, is now telling me I have no willpower? Oh, screw it now. You might as well drink the rest of the night away. And now the phenomenon of craving kicks in, and I'm finished. And the next morning I'm going, I can't believe I did that again. I swore to God I wasn't going to do that again. You know, and you expect to do this on your own? Forget it. You can't. I ended up, looking for, lack of power was my dilemma, and I started looking for a way out. I mean, I started looking for higher powers. I didn't know that's what I was doing, but anything to maybe help me with, my life was sucking. And you know why my life was sucking? Because I was born me. I wasn't born with the advantages he had or she had or this kid or that kid and that's how I saw it. I thought that you could never change. And I used to think, why am I born me? Why does all this crap keep happening to me? Why couldn't I be him? And then I'd get resentful. Well, screw him. I deserve what he has. And I'll throw a beer bottle at his car when he's not looking. And all that crap. And you know what? The thing is, in Alcoholics Anonymous, and if you do a 4-step, you get to find out that I really was powerless over alcohol. And at first I didn't get it. I thought, powerless over alcohol. Like when I first saw that, powerless over alcohol. Well, I decide when I'm taking a drink. I lift it. I'm not powerless. How could it be power? But by the time you get through the 4-step, I was powerless over alcohol. You know why? Because every decision I made, I was living a life I was never meant to live because of self-will run riot based on my fear and trying to find other higher. Once I go to college, that's it. Everything's going to be okay. I'll be studying. I actually got accepted to this school because I had some talent in art, and I was really lucky and fortunate to have that happen to me. And big mistake. They invite the freshmen in to see what the seniors' art looks like, which non-alcoholics can deal with. They probably see that stuff and go, wow, one day I'll be able to do that, So I walk into the senior art exhibit and went, what's the use? And you could drink at the school, and what really nailed it in for me going to meetings early on, I couldn't argue with, was that phenomenon of craving and the doctor's opinion. I didn't read that yet, but I heard it at meetings, and I'm going, when you have one drink and you crave more, that's alcoholism? Because when I was younger, when it seemed to be working, like at the card game and shortly afterwards, when I'd have drinks and could talk to girls and feel a lot better than I really did when I wasn't drinking, I would still be telling my friends, hey man, when I have one drink, I gotta keep going, I feel alive. And they're like, wow, yeah. Only now I'm thinking, I'm going, that's a symptom of alcoholism? Yeesh, maybe I have this thing. If that's a symptom of alcoholism, then I might just be an alcoholic. Never mind the other shit. I couldn't argue with that. There could be a speaker up here, there could be a guy up here wearing makeup and a dress, sharing from the podium, but I couldn't deny the fact that I was just like him, because when he drank and had one, he wanted more. So I could identify with that. I could pick apart everything but that. And I'm going, oh man. But with that, like it says in the book, that thing that seems to be like, great, I'm an alcoholic, I'm 23 years old, my life's over, But out of that came the best thing that could have ever happened to me. So I get to this school, I go, what's the use? So, what booze did for me? It made me feel like, how you get that satisfaction when you do things, you get that sense of accomplishment. Booze gave me that false feeling of a sense of accomplishment. I didn't need to do the work. So why even bother trying hard to be good at art? I could have a few drinks and feel great. My mind, the part of me, that little part, that little inner voice, that we come to rediscover when we get sober, would say like, I don't know, don't you really think this is a good idea, Darrell? Shut up, we're having a good time. That's what I would tell myself, but I was just getting further away. So I ended up flunking out, but I did it the alcoholic cowardly way. I didn't let them throw me out. You kind of leave with a resentment. And even though it was my own actions of not following through, it was, this school stinks, the routine. And, I ended up doing all the stuff like if you're new and you get one of the big books, it's a little intimidating. What is this? Oh, my God. And, it looks like a Bible. I was on a bus as a newcomer. I was on a bus because I had, like most AAs when they're newly sober, you end up riding the bus. So I was riding the bus to work, but the bus was a great time for me to start recovering because on the way to work, I'd read the big book. I put it in a paper bag cover. It was just a hard one back then, but I put it in the brown paper bag cover like a school book so no one would know. And one day I had to get one at a morning meeting, so I didn't have the cover on it. So I tore off the paper cover because that says it in white letters, Alcoholics Anonymous. So it's just this blue book. I'm reading it on the bus, and some guy comes up to me and goes, "Oh, I see you're reading the Bible. You're a good Christian, aren't you?" I go, "No, alcoholic, man." Anything but that. That's how my mind still couldn't deal with that one. I was like, so don't worry, everyone thinks this book is a little weird and ooh, it even says in there, so you're fine. Buy the book, take it home, and like my sponsor said, a good place to start is chapter 3, more about alcoholism. It's an easy read, and the great reason why that was a great place for me to start was because you read along and it talks right away about all the different things we do to try to prove we're like other men or women, that we don't have a drinking problem. Switch from beer to wine, only using natural wines. Don't get into physical fitness. Quitting with or without a solemn oath. I'm like, holy moly. I even got a job at Jacqueline Health Club because I thought that was going to get me off this problem. I'm still young. I tossed out, not tossed out, but walked out of school. So I get this job at Jacqueline Health Club, and my life is stinking, man. I'm working at Jacqueline Health Club by day, and I did the same thing every night. I would leave there, I would go there going, oh, good, I'm going to be working in a fit environment, and I'm going to pull it together. I found something that's going to work for me. And then I'd leave there at 5, or I think I was working 11 till 8 because it was dark when I got done. And I'd have to drive back from Livingston, New Jersey, get to Livingston Circle, and there was a bar there, sold packaged good. This was my routine. Buy 2 6-packs, go home, turn on the TV, watch black and white TV shows, drank myself to sleep. Did it the next day. That stinks. I'm supposed to be having fun. And one day I thought I'd have a little fun, and I brought a gallon of wine to work, put it in my locker, and it works like magic for the first couple hours. I'm feeling good. I'm loving my job. You know what I mean? Nothing's a problem. Do this. Yeah, no problem. Oh, you're doing good. Blah, 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 blah. And then something around 5 o'clock, now I'm starting to turn. It's like I'm going from the happy mom dancing with her son to now going for the cutlery, and this is happening. So the manager just says what he always would say. He said, okay, Darrell, don't forget to wipe down the equipment before you leave. And I'm like, you wipe it down. I wipe it down every day. But that's my job, you see? And then he goes, that's it. He goes, I'm telling the management. So he goes running upstairs, telling the management. I'm going, oh, okay. I'll show you, you little girl. And I go chasing him upstairs. We get in front of the counter. Everybody's watching. It's just one of those horrendous moments. The drunken jerk who's thinking he's not the drunken jerk, who's thinking he's the right one. And all these clear, racquetball courts, everyone's looking. He's going, you got to get rid of this guy. I'm not working when this guy's working here. He's nuts. He's drunk. And I said, oh, yeah? Wait a second. And I take his name tag, like taking demerits off him, and I go, tear it off, and I go, boom. And I go, you don't have to quit, because I quit. And I walked out of there, and I showed them. The next morning, I woke up humiliated again. And I was so humiliated when people, I didn't even go back to get the last paycheck. But that drink made me feel like John Wayne when I first had it, and now this is the behavior I'm reduced to, and this wasn't even the end. This was just the beginning of the end. It got progressively worse, and I became progressively filled. I couldn't see, in the 4th step now going back, that God had a wonderful life in store for me, just like everyone else. But by being so full of fear and so dishonest because I was so full of fear. I mean, you got to lie on a job application or you won't get the job that you really deserve, right? You know, when I was working gas, I was pumping gas because I left the college and I got rid of Jack LaLanne, so now I'm pumping gas for minimum wage. And it's okay, and I'm justifying, you start off with 10, you know, at the end of the shift, see if it gets noticed. Next week, you take 20s, then you're up to 50s, and I'm justifying it. I know it's not right. I mean, I'm not stupid. I know it's not right. But you know what? I was so full of fear, I would justify it with, this guy's only paying me minimum wage, you know, and I got a couple of years of college under my belt. I mean, this is what I'm thinking. And sure enough, someone came in from the college, and I couldn't get away because I used to run into the bathroom out of shame. And he said, Darrell, what's going on? I haven't seen you here, at school. And I go, I make more money managing this gas station than I would ever make if I finished that preppy college you're going to, you know? And I wasn't managing anything. Then I thought I just need a little discipline. Here's another higher power. You know, I'll join the military. I went through the list, boom, boom, boom. Marine Corps, no way. Army, I thought just those dusty commercials didn't do it for me. Navy, 6 months on a ship, big ships, forget about it. You know, and then Air Force. Now, my younger brother was a few years younger, and this proves that this is a disease. And I really believe it has nothing to do with circumstance other than it being a physical disease. Why? Because I've gone to enough meetings, and I've heard people that have had it way worse than me who have become alcoholics or are alcoholics. And people who have had it seemingly way better than me with a silver spoon in their mouth. They suffer from the same fears, anxieties, and they drank for relief, and it worked like magic. Well, my brother's a perfect example. My brother grew up with the same exact parents, the same set of circumstances, and you know what? He's not an alcoholic. He could drink with impunity. He doesn't care. He never says to anyone, he never says this, I'm not drinking tonight. You know, social drinkers never say that. I said it a lot, you know. I never got through the night, but I had good intentions, you know. But he never says that. He's married. He seems well-adjusted to life. You know, he's got 2 kids. He shows up for work. He does things inch by inch. He doesn't see things or like it says in the big book. There's a story in the back called Window of Opportunity, great story. And in it, the guy says, you know, I finally discovered the difference between an alcoholic and a non-alcoholic. And it says a non-alcoholic will change his lifestyle to meet his goals. An alcoholic will change his goals to meet his lifestyle. Meaning, and that's what I was doing. My goals started out with a lot of promise, and I could just find I don't need that school. Screw being an artist. You know, screw them. I'll work in a fitness club. That's how I'll meet chicks and impress people. Screw that place. They're all a bunch of jerks. They don't understand. They didn't have the problems I got. Now I'm working at the gas station. Now I joined, I think, my brother's in the Air Force at that time, so I go, I can't join that because I'm an abomination as an older brother. So I go, and I knew this. But I would squash it down. And I go, United States Coast Guard. Little speedboats, Jersey Shore. I'd look real cool with the blue uniform. It's not like a uniform. It's like a glorified lifeguard, suntan, and I'm dreaming big, right? But it's just like everything else. This is going to fix it. This is going to solve all my problems. Sure enough, they never mentioned the 378-foot Coast Guard cutter that patrols the Bering Sea. So now I'm out there, I'm freezing my ass off, and I'm going, and you know what I'm thinking, seriously? I'm thinking, figures. Why does this shit keep happening to me? You know, and that's what I mean. Powerless over alcohol has very little to do with just drinking. It has to do with all the choices. I was powerless over alcohol, and it was running my life because it was making decisions for me based on either running from drinking or running to drinking or running to some brain fart. I was just like Ralph Cramden in The Honeymooners. This one's going to do it, Alice. You know, this is going to be it. This is going to be the big fix. And I couldn't even, in the end, I wouldn't even, when I came to AA, the best thing was, some people come to AA and they want to go, and it's normal to tell your family and friends, I'm in an AA now, this is it. And that's great, that's good, that's healthy. Me, I had told my friends, my brother, everybody, this is it. This one's going to make all the difference. That the good thing for me was I just showed up at meetings and took my medicine. And you come to these meetings and you may think a meeting's a bad meeting or a good meeting, but let me tell you, it's just like medicine. You come, and some meetings, I sit at these meetings, and I'm like this. I don't want my okay, and some meetings, the medicine tastes great, but either way, I'm getting healthier, one day at a time. And that's how I would think when I was new. I was literally thinking, and I didn't know I was doing like the first 3 steps, but I was literally thinking, if I don't drink today and go to a meeting, I'm getting a little better. If I don't drink today and go to a meeting, I'm a little better. And I wanted to believe that. I really wanted to believe it, so it started to grow. It says, could and would if he were sought, not found. And seeking is going to meetings. I'm seeking a solution. I'm doing something good for myself for once. My sponsor gave me a morning routine, which is simple. It's a couple of prayers out of the big book on page 63 and 76, the 3rd step prayer and the 7th step prayer, and the St. Francis prayer that's in the 12 and 12 on page 99, and the acceptance page which is now on 417. And the Serenity Prayer, the Our Father, and he said, do this upon awakening, like it says. There's how to wake up and start your day is in the big book in page 86. It tells you how to do that. But and I did this. I did this because I must have looked a little reluctant when he gave me the list to do, because he said, look, Darrell, it only takes 7 minutes. I timed it just for you, because I'm thinking, I got shit to do. I got to be at muster at 7 a.m. But then, I'm thinking this. I didn't say it, the coward I am. But he said this, and this is what got me, because these guys were men. I mean, the guys I met, fortunately, you get everything you need. I believe that, if you really want this program, nothing anyone can say will keep you from getting it. No meeting will keep you from getting it if you want it. If you don't want this, there's nothing anybody could say or any meeting that'll make you get it, And that's just been my experience. And I wanted this, and these guys, though, were the perfect guys for me, because I bottomed out. I was in the military. Like I said, the military was my problem. And pretty soon I found out it wasn't my problem. And these guys were men. I mean, these were men, men, like not like me. They looked like the guys, my father's friends and men, and these were men who were, they had been in Vietnam, and I respected them. So when they said things like, and this is what he said. He said, Darrell, he goes, being sober isn't about jumping out of bed and dragging yourself through your miserable day. He goes, you mean you can't wake up 7 minutes earlier to just be kind to yourself? He goes, do you hate yourself that much? He goes, wake up 7 minutes earlier and give yourself the love that and he's saying words like that. And I'm going, shit, man. This guy saying, it blew my mind. And it wasn't all roses. I mean, at this military rehab, I guess you call it, I was at, they'd have a group. And my group facilitator was this Marine Corps gunny sergeant, so we paid attention. And at the end of group, we would do this, we'd all hold hands, so we're all like, oh boy, And he'd go, okay, I am necessary, I am important, and I am worthwhile. So we're all like, I am necessary, I am important, and I am worthwhile. I can't hear you, little girls. I am necessary, I am important, I am worthwhile. So it was just like my dad. It was like that anger with that, but with a positive, only this was really good stuff, So I was getting it. It was like tailor-made just for me. Just like I think it is for everybody. Everybody gets exactly what they need. And, going through these steps, and the longer stay sober, and then, when we read how it works, I mean, rigorous honest and being honest, and, you know, you have to be honest. If you're incapable of being honest, forget about it. I mean, that's basically what it says. Why does it talk about being honest so much? Because that's the only way you will find what God's will is for you. Because if you still fudge and think it's okay to lie on the job application, you may get the job. But just like the jobs I had gotten that I had lied and got, they were ill-gotten. And the job wasn't right for me. And eventually it became a problem. A perfect example is how I met my wife. I had been sober 7 years. I'd been sober 7 years. I had finished my military obligation. I had an honorable discharge, and I was going back to art school in New York, and sober, doing what I had thrown away years earlier. And one of the neighbors was having a party. There's bikers and when you practice these principles in all your affairs, that's the magic. I mean, the second half, the last third of the 12th step and the whole second half of the reading in the 12 and 12 is about the magic of practicing this and becoming a member of the society that once shunned us. And really, that's where the attraction rather than promotion happens. That's where your life really begins. I mean, my sponsor early on, I'd say, oh my God, I don't know what's going on. He goes, well, Jesus Christ, Darrell, it says practice these principles in all your affairs. Go have some affairs. Go live. Don't just, go do things. And so I'm in the art school. I'm going to art school, and I'm enjoying my life. My neighbors, I'm meeting non-alcoholics. And, another thing you may hear is, those normies out here. Oh, those normies. Oh, let me tell you, that's exactly how I talked in the bar. Those motherfuckers out there, they don't understand. And my friends go, yeah, screw them. I'm doing the same thing. My sponsor gave me a good kick in the head early on when he said, hey, Darrell, don't think we're any better than those normies out there. I'm going to tell you something. We're 12 steps behind the rest of the world. The 12 steps just bring us to an even playing field. And believe me, the longer I stay sober, that is absolutely 100% true. Without exception, most people don't respond to life the way I normally react. But I'm out there, I'm painting a thing near my house, and the neighbors, these biker guys who I befriended, we had a nice relationship with in my neighborhood. They were having a party that night. They invited me. I wasn't going to go until I saw these two beautiful girls looking around to where the house was, where the place was. So I go, oh, you're looking for the party? It's up there. And I'm going, well, enough of painting. Packed up my easel. I'm sober, but I'm not a jerk, So I throw my easel back into my place. I go to the party. And this is where the magic of honesty and the wrong life, right life, whatever, it's this simple. It's just step by step, inch by inch, just like I used to see like the artwork and go, oh, what's the use? Most people, they know life is inch by inch. Getting sober is inch by inch. But inch by inch, you get pretty far. Because if you don't start, where are you going to be 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 2 years from now, a year from now? In the same place. But just inch by inch. So, go to this party. Brunette and a blonde. The brunette comes up. She's gorgeous. She's talking to me. She had heard I was an artist, so she starts asking questions. Oh, do you go to the Met? Yes, I go to the Met. Because I do. I go to the Met. And she goes, wow, what's your favorite room? And now she starts mentioning rooms. Mine is the neoclassical. This is her. Mine is the neoclassical. I'm going, now, normally, you know what I would do? Darrell, bullshit her. She's gorgeous. You know what works? Just start repeating shit back to them. That always works. Now, that would be my normal brain. But my brain is changing. And I'm not feeling the urge to do that. So she's going, and you know what? I was perfectly honest. I said, well, she goes, after she does this whole long thing, she goes, well, what's your favorite room? And I go, the bookstore. I love going in the bookstore, looking at all the little toys and these little things, the pads they make. And the girl next to her goes, really? My uncle manages that bookstore. And that girl, 13 years later, we've been together 13 years, is my wife. Now, the moral of the story is, I never, ever lived my life that way. These lessons learned, same thing with my mom. I'll tell this real quick. My mom was the problem. My mom was the alcoholic. My mom was the reason I ended up this way. Don't let anybody, you know, the well-intentioned friends, you know, when we're drinking, that make the mistake of saying, Darrell, what's wrong? Come on, I understand. Screw you, you understand. I would just let them have it. You had two parents, you had this, you had that. I got nothing, you know, and then, you know, threaten to kill myself just like my mom would. And then I'd always end up with, and this is really masculine, guys, if you care to admit it, I'm sure some can identify the old, nobody loves me. Believe me, that's not how I want to end up. You know, I wanted to look like John Wayne, and I felt like John Wayne in the beginning, but now I'm reduced to this garbage, you know? So, during my mom's drinking when she first split, I mean, I was no angel. I knew where my dad hid his card playing money, so I would dip into it. Because I was such a wimp, I thought, and could never measure up, I would buy big bags of candy to impress my friends at the School 9 playground. So I would throw these candies, and I was like, you know, I was like a rock star because I had the Starburst fruit chews. I'd buy the big, like, bags, and eventually my dad noticed, I mean, a lot of dough was missing from his card money. So you know what he says? He goes, Darrell, he goes, have you seen your mother around here during the day? And I'm like, why? I think she's dipping into my card playing money. And I said, yeah, I think so. You know, and you may think, you know, but years later, I want to keep cleaning out this inside. I don't like these steps, like these restitution steps, that when at first I thought, oh my God, I'm going to go to jail. You know, but you don't. No, I believe now, no evil comes out of good. And even there was a time where I was willing, I mean, I had a court-martial and I was facing Leavenworth, and it was the first time in my life I showed up and something happened. The captain was, the captain was saying, Fazaro, isn't it true that you? And I just said, yes, sir. Not yes, but you don't understand, or yes, but I can explain. And I was willing to go. Because it was the first time in my life I started to feel free. And believe me, there was nothing like that. Important call. So say anything can happen. So what I'm saying is, you know, I had never felt this before. So now I like to keep all this clean. I don't like carrying around this crap. And not too long ago, I was thinking about my mom, and I'm going, geez, you know, I never really made amends for those quarters, you know, but I don't have to. I love my mom. I've been in touch with my mom over these many years sober, and I got rid of all the big, horrible stuff. But this is coming up. So what do you do when it comes up? You got to deal with it. You can't ignore it. Call my mom. Mom, how you doing? I love you, blah, blah, blah. I said, Mom, I got to tell you something. And my mom's still a loony. I mean, she'll talk like one day she's the Queen of England, then she's going, au revoir, au revoir. You know, she's talking French, and I'm like, I just got to wait till it wears off a little bit. Oh, she remembers it's Darrell, you know. And then so I go, Mom, I got to tell you something. I go, remember when Dad, I mean, I stole the quarter, you know, the money from Dad's card play money, and I blamed you for it. And she goes, Darrell, we do crazy things when we're kids. And I said, Mom, I just want to tell you, I love you. And a couple of months went by, and we had another conversation. You know what she said to me, which was, I never even needed her to say this. You know why? Because I'm 43 years old now. I mean, these steps, you got a choice when you get sober. Do you want to be a victim, or do you want to be a hero? Do you want to blame everybody like I did my entire life and just stay miserable? Or do I want to take steps to change? And my mom calls me a couple of months later. You know what she says? She goes, Darrell, and we were just talking about nothing, and all of a sudden she goes, you got to understand that leaving you two boys was the hardest thing I ever did. And when I was saying you go to meetings and you hear things that pop in your head, this was a magical thing I heard from going to one of those meetings I didn't want to go to. A guy up here said, you know, I hated my dad because he was an alcoholic and blah, blah, blah. And I go, here we go. And he said this, he said, and then it dawned on me, my dad didn't want to be an alcoholic either. You know, my mom didn't want to be an alcoholic either. My mom felt the same relief I felt. She didn't want to hurt me, believe me. And it's been killing her for years. Do I really want to punish her? Or do I really want to not to do the next right thing in my life because I had a rotten mother? No, I'm finished with that. That's the miracle of this program. inch by inch, we change and we become the people that God intended us to be. So thank you.
Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.